What's going on, everyone? So obviously people are upset about the loss of Dan Hurley. The Lakers, particularly the offer that they threw at Dan Hurley. We were getting numbers, 8 years, 100 million. People were saying, hey, it's probably going to take more than that. There's no salary cap in regards to a head coach. Pay the man. If he's really the guy you want to bring in, you got to try to take him from UConn. You're going to have to give him a significant amount of money, right? Paying him, a couple million more just to come coach the Lakers, which he wouldn't even make because of taxes and stuff like that. It's just like, it doesn't make any sense. And so people are incredibly frustrated, which, again, I understand the frustration in that regard. And now it's causing this whirlwind and this sort of discussion about the Lakers' lack of funds, right? The Lakers they're not in the financial situation that all these other organizations are, right? Jeannie Buss is the least richest owner in the entire NBA. And, there's a lot of talk about how, which is true, that the Lakers are really ran as this kind of mom and pop shop rather than an organization that is, of old, particularly with the Lakers. And, the Rambis family is just this dark cloud that has just kind of made the decisions and been the puppet master behind the scenes a lot of ways, a lot of times. And it's like Jeannie uses her heart rather than her head sometimes. And I've even expressed and talked in the past about how, instead of allowing the basketball people to do basketball things, there's a lot of interference. Right. And that's a big problem as well. Right. Like, that was a big question with Dan Hurley is he going to have the control and the ability to do the things that he will need to do in order to really lay the foundation and the framework and structure that the Lakers are bringing him in to do. Right. Like Rob Pelinka, for example. And a lot of people, they want Rob Pelinka fired and all that stuff. But even if the Lakers fired Rob Pelinka today, who wants the GM job of the Lakers when you're going to be micromanaged in every other way? Like, how often do you hear of a owner coming in and intervening and vetoing or going against something that the GM is actually going through or in the process of? You almost never hear stories about that. Yet Jeannie Buss in the last year and a half has changed or vetoed 3 trades. And that's a problem, right? It's like every time we hear something, it's like, oh, Jeannie Buss came in and said no. Or it's like, okay, why do you have a GM if you're not going to allow the GM to do what he believes is best for the organization, right? That's why GMs lose their jobs if they fail to do so, right? So, for example, Rob Pelinka had deals lined up and ready to go, and all of a sudden, Jeannie comes in and says, no, you need to trade for Russell Westbrook. Rob Pelinka is the guy that gets the blame, right? And Rob Pelinka, in a lot of ways, probably one of the reasons he's there is to be because he is the yes man, right? Hey, that's what you want me to do, boss? No problem. But again, I always default to what are you supposed to do? Can you go into your job and your boss tells you to do something, and you can tell them no? I'm not doing that. I think that this is the better route. What is that person going to tell you? They're either going to tell you, I don't care, I told you to do this, or they're going to fire you. Right? So it's like, if you're Rob, you're kind of in this rock and this hard place. He had a deal done for Buddy Hield. DeMar DeRozan himself said in an interview, I believe with Taylor Rooks, that he believed he was headed to the Lakers and the deal was done. And then all of a sudden, Lakers go and trade for Russell Westbrook. Then Rob Pelinka, when it doesn't work, has a deal lined up, ready to go, finished, again, ready to sign, seal, deliver for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for Russell Westbrook and 2 firsts, and Jeannie Buss vetoes it. Again, if we're going to allow and have these positions, you need to allow those positions to do that. That's a big problem. Like, again, fire Rob Pelinka. Who are you going to bring in? Bob Myers isn't going to come to listen to Jeannie and the Rambis family tell him what to do. He's like, I built a dynasty. Like, again, that's a big problem. And then you add in, on top of the micromanaging and the operations of the mom and pop shop, you add in the lack of finances compared to these organizations. You're behind the eight ball. I mean, you look at somebody like Steve Ballmer. It's unfortunate he owns the Clippers rather than the Lakers, but it's like Steve Ballmer makes more in just like interest every year than Jeannie Buss makes for her net worth. Like, Steve Ballmer has so much money, it's unfair. Like, and yes, the CBA and, the NBA as a whole is trying to create restrictions in order to, try to keep somebody like a Steve Ballmer coming in and just like buying championships, right? Imagine there's no salary cap already. I mean, Steve Ballmer could just take the 10 best players and just be like, hey, I'll give each of you, whatever, the 8 best players or whatever. It's just like he could just build Team USA on the Clippers if he wanted to, right? Like, he could literally buy championships every year if he wanted to, and just give everybody like, hey, I'll just give you $100 million a year, right? Like, he could pay out $1 billion in salary every year if you wanted to. Like, Jeannie can't do stuff like that, right? Like, and so the problem is again, it's the way that things are being ran and operated. And then on top of that, you add in the lack of potential financially to get things done that you need to get done, like hire a high tier head coach, right? I mean, Lakers should have landed Tyronn Lue, right? Like, that's what should have happened, but they lowballed him. And they didn't give him a serious offer. Now, part of that, I think, was that they didn't, he was looked at as a LeBron guy, and they didn't want LeBron kind of taking over the organization. But he was the best coach and best candidate at the time. And look at the situation we're in now because you decided not to do something like that. But it's also the finances, right? Like, Jeannie can't pay a head coach $20 million a year to be the head coach of the Lakers. She just can't. I mean, she could, but it just, for her, she's just like, I be broke at that point, right? Like, because she doesn't have the money that is necessary to do that. So yes, I do believe that the financial side of things is a big problem, but you still have benefits that no other teams have. You have the prestige that is the Lakers, and it still does have a name. It still does have weight behind it. I mean, you see it with just players coming to try to build their brand and their reputation, right? I mean, you see the Lakers every year getting guys that are, quality players, the Malik Monks of the world. Like, so that in and of itself, a star is always going to come, right? Like, right now, it's, stars aren't lining up to come to the Lakers because, again, they got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So, 1, the CBA. 2, it's like, you don't have the salary space to sign somebody. And 3, it's like, how many stars want to be a third option, right? I'm not saying that there aren't some out there, but it's just, so the star thing. But post LeBron, I do believe a star will come. It might take a year or 2 or something like that, but eventually somebody's gonna be like, yeah, I'm going to Lakers. So you have the prestige, you have the weather and the nightlife and the lifestyle and being in Los Angeles, right? Like, you do have things. And even the financial situation, I do think, is hindering in some areas, but not the major areas, right? Like, you could still build a roster. You could still win championships, but you also need to put in position the guys that you believe are good enough to do the job. Like, if you believe Rob Pelinka is good enough to do the job, then why do you not allow him to do said job? If you want to be the GM, be the GM, right? Like, you're the owner. You can do whatever you want, right? But if you're going to allow and hire and pay, somebody to do a job, let them do the job, is my thing. And then if he doesn't do it to your liking, hey, sorry, you got to go. That's how it works. But, like, people talk about like, oh, well, why doesn't Jeannie fire Rob? Jeannie needs to fire Rob. And it's like, half the things that Rob has done that people don't agree with, have all came with Genie. Look, I'm not saying Rob's perfect. I'm not saying he hasn't made mistakes. He absolutely has. But he also has done a lot of really good when he's given the opportunity to do what he wants to do, right? Like, we've seen him work his magic and just, pull a rabbit out of his hat when he's allowed to do what he's allowed to do, right? So again, it's to me, it's like, I think she needs to take a step back and just let the team run. Let things operate the way it is. It's not, to me, it's not so much the finances, it's the operation of the mom and pop shop, right? You need to stop letting your heart get in the way and just allow things to unfold that need to unfold. And again, like, if you have to fire Rob, fire Rob. If you have, if you want to get a different GM, get a different GM. If you want to get something different, get something different. Like, whatever it is, like, you need to come to a conclusion and stick to it, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Think the Lakers really do have a money problem? Do you think, like, no, it's not so much a money problem, it's just the way that the organization is ran? I feel whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.